In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So what are you doing here in a Lutheran church? Some of you will say that you are cradle Lutherans, or that you were born Lutheran. Others married Lutheran. Others of you simply stumbled in because the church building was conveniently located, or the worship services were at a good time for you, or a friend invited you, or for any other number of reasons. Lots of factors might have led you through the doors. What matters is how what you experience here affects your life when you walk outside these doors. You might be interested to know that Luther never considered himself a Lutheran. He never wanted to break from the Roman Catholic Church. He only wanted to reform it internally. Initially, when people called Luther and his followers Lutheran, it was meant as a slam. When Luther was asked about this, he would respond, "Do not call yourselves Lutheran. Did Martin Luther hang on the cross for you? No, call yourselves Christian, for it is Christ who died to save you." He and his followers were excommunicated. But they always considered themselves part of the one true church. But if that makes it sound like Luther and his followers were innocent in this schism, don't think that for a minute. Dr. Luther was hardly what we would call an ecumenical bridge builder. He was harsh, and he was vocal with his feelings for those who disagreed with him. He equated the Pope with everything from a pig to the Antichrist. Most terrifyingly, Luther owes an unfathomably deep apology to the Jews who paid such a deep price for his horrific document entitled On the Jews and Their Lives, in which he described a final solution for how Christians might deal with the Jews. Later, this document was a blueprint for some of the activities of the Third Reich, and is still quoted today by white supremacists around the world. After yesterday's anti-Semitic attack and the murders of innocent worshipers at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, we as 21st century followers of this man Luther need to stand in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters and do all that we can to ensure their safety and to condemn those who spread hatred toward them and to continue to quote our namesake's writings as justification for their hatred. We as a Lutheran church and Lutheran churches throughout the world have apologized and repudiated Luther's writing on this topic. And we continue to do so. And today, as we celebrate the Reformation, we also mourn with a special kind of sadness that those teachings are still seeing the light of day and are still influencing people. So why is it that we associate ourselves with this hostile man? Luther wrote prolifically, condemning the church for its misuse of the gospel, but also calling on all people to return to the Word of God instead of relying on the church for spiritual and moral guidance. He taught and wrote hymns, and he preached. He plumbed the scriptures to obtain truth, highlighting how we are saved by God's grace and mercy instead of out of our own capacity for right conduct or thinking. He translated the Bible from Greek and Hebrew into German, the language of the common people. That's why Lutherans honor Luther, and maybe sometimes even go a little over the top in reverence toward Luther, the man whose name we bear. But in truth, Martin Luther wasn't always considered a force to be reckoned with. He didn't seek out the life of a leader. In fact, when he was called by the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V to defend his writing, The City of Worms, in 1521, the Pope's envoy was certain that no one who was so uncharismatic and stupid as Luther, his words, as Luther appeared to be, could possibly have written the incendiary and crudite books he was in trouble for writing. But this homely, rude mouse was indeed the one that roared. At the conclusion of his hearing in Worms, when he was asked to take back his criticism of the church, his response concluded with the now famous line, "My conscience is captive to the Word of God. Thus I cannot and will not recant. For to go against one's conscience is neither right nor safe. Here I stand. I can do no other. God help me. Amen." We celebrate what happened next. The Reformation of the church. It sounds so innocent. The Reformation of the church. But for the people of that time, it had to have been terrifying. The Reformation was not a peaceful movement. It spawned class warfare and bloodshed in several countries. It was one of the factors that led to a war that lasted about 100 years. People who'd always known what to expect from their church and their position in society were suddenly in entirely new territory. Peasants were revolting against landowners. The nobility was violently putting down such revolts. Roman Catholics were burning Lutheran pastors at the stake. And Lutherans were lashing out against priests and anything that looked remotely Catholic, even though doing so was totally opposed by Luther himself. besides this religious and social unrest, all of Europe was dealing with the catastrophic effects of the plague, which wiped out whole villages with infection. And there was a constant threat of invasion by the Ottoman Empire. In the midst of it all, I can easily imagine people everywhere whispering under their breath the words of the psalmist, "We will not fear, though the earth change, though the mountains shake at the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult." And I know some of you are praying that psalm these days. I know some of you feel anxious about the upcoming elections in our country. Both Republicans and Democrats, I know, have experienced the fear of what's going to happen if the other party wins. That it will be disastrous for our nation and for the world. Many of the fears sound reasonable to me. But then again, I'm often called a worrier. We do fear that the nations will be in an uproar and that the kingdoms will totter. Please pray that psalm, Psalm 46, this week and in the weeks ahead. And maybe even sing Luther's setting of it. Particularly the last verse, with heartfelt sincerity. Were they to take our house, wood's honor, child, or spouse, though life be wrenched away, they cannot win the day. God's kingdom's ours forever. The Reformation was not a complete triumph, but a traumatic event for many people. Today's political situation may be similar. It's all because of what Paul expresses so clearly in Romans, a passage that Luther celebrated often in his work. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, he says. To make matters even worse, all keep sinning and keep falling short. Sometimes we forget that our ultimate hope rests not in successes, but in what appears to be God's great failure on the cross. It looks like the end. But God redeemed that failure and all failures by making sure that it was only a beginning, a new beginning. Don't be afraid in these troublesome days or ever. The cross is not the end of the story. Though life be wrenched away, they cannot win the day. You belong to God. The world belongs to God. Every failure is an opportunity for God's grace to creep in. This is not Luther's doing, nor the work of a Lutheran church. It is not the work of the Republican Party. It is not the work of the Democratic Party. It is not your doing. Loving, forgiving, saving, redeeming you and the whole wide world is God's doing. So in truth, we are set free. Free to risk, free to dare, free to love, free to live, free to work, to dream, to struggle, and free even to fail. All in hope. Don't give up. God promises to transform all that burdens us, all the endings, even the cross, to bring about new life. Keep the faith. Keep the word. Keep on trying and failing. God promises to keep hold of us and to use us in ways that we can't even begin to imagine.